5 Epic Tips to Survive the Wild West Alone at Midnight. Shocking Secrets Never Told. The night was alive with an eerie silence as the moon hung high, casting ghostly shadows across the dusty plains. Out here, in the heart of the Wild West, every sound felt magnified. Each rustle of the wind could be a whisper of danger. The chilling howl of a coyote echoed in the distance, sending shivers down the spine of anyone brave enough to be out there alone. The tales of the midnight riders and the spirits that roamed these lands were not just stories, they felt hauntingly real. Underneath the weathered hat, eyes darted anxiously, scanning the horizon. You wouldn't want to be caught in a standoff with an outlaw or worse, face the wrath of the spectral cowboys said to search for their lost fortunes. Legends warned about ghostly apparitions that flickered in and out of view like fireflies. One moment they were there, the next, just a distant memory. What was it that drew you out here, alone, in the dead of night? Was it the lure of adventure or the reckless thrill? Every creak of the wooden fence and whisper of the grass caught the attention of the night watch, making it hard to breathe. It was said the bravest cowboys carried silver bullets to ward off the evil spirits. The air was thick with tension as the darkness deepened. What should have been quiet solitude became a heartbeat of anticipation, a dance on the edge between life and the unknown. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With every twist of the wind, it felt like something was watching. Was it just the shadows blending with the dark, or was there really something lurking, waiting for the right moment to strike? An instinctive shudder crept up, raising goosebumps across the arms. Secrets lived in these harsh lands, and they weren't friendly. What awaited beyond the horizon? Were you ready to confront whatever monstrous truth lingered just out of sight, eager to be uncovered? Just when you thought the night couldn't get any darker, you heard it, a shuffling, an unmistakable sound that sent a jolt straight into your heart. The question wasn't whether you would survive the next hour, but what kind of awakening lay ahead. The shuffling grew closer, each sound slicing through the night like the squeak of a rusty hinge. You squinted into the shadowy depths, heart racing. What could it be? A trick of the wind? Or something more sinister? Your breath quickened, making the silence feel even more oppressive as you held your ground. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, tall and cloaked in black, its outline defined against the silver moonlight. It stood motionless, eerily still, and your instincts screamed to flee. Every horror story from your childhood flooded your mind, tales of bandits and restless spirits taking root in your imagination. "Who's there?" you called out, hoping for a voice to break the tension, but silence claimed the night again. The figure shifted slightly, and in that moment, you saw eyes glinting like shards of glass. The air turned thick and heavy, making it hard to swallow. It was as though the very night was holding its breath, waiting for what came next. Then, just as suddenly, the figure was gone, swallowed by the blackness. An unsettling chill ran through you, and your legs felt anchored to the ground. What had just happened? Had it been real? The wilderness seemed to close in, shadows wrapping around you like a cloak of doom. You instinctively reached for the silver bullet you tucked into your pocket, one of those tips you'd heard were essential for warding off the unknown. The mere thought of facing whatever lurked in the dark sent fire coursing through your veins, igniting a fight-or-flight response. But where could you possibly run at this hour on this desolate plain? The howling of coyotes grew louder, morphing into a chilling chorus, echoing warnings of danger. Maybe they sensed it too, maybe they knew there were things out that way that were best left undisturbed. As you stood frozen, you recalled a line from the old tales, a warning against angering the spirits. But was it too late? Then, without warning, soft laughter floated through the wind, a haunting melody that could only be described as otherworldly. It twisted around you like a ghostly embrace, teasing any lingering courage out of your heart. You want to know the secrets, don't you? The laugh echoed, a voice that felt familiar yet impossibly distant. Just as quickly as it arrived, it vanished, leaving a deafening void that echoed with unspoken questions. A dark silhouette suddenly leapt from the brush, and you jerked back, bracing for whatever horror was to come, heart thumping like a war drum. The dim moonlight allowed glimpses of the figure as it emerged, an old man, his face lined with years of hardship, eyes bright and wild. "They come for their treasures," he rasped, voice raspy like dry leaves. "Their gold and their rage, and they won't stop until they reclaim what is theirs." Your mind raced, piecing together the myth and its monstrous truths. What treasures? Was he talking about the spirits? Did he know more about the figure you had seen? The air thickened with uncertainty, your skin prickling with every whispered promise of horror. "Are you one of them?" You stammered, struggling to keep your voice steady. The answer you feared hung heavily in the air, waiting to be unspooled. The man's lips curved in a dark grin, and he stepped closer. "No, I'm still alive, but can you say the same when dawn breaks?" A weight of dread settled over you as you realized the night wasn't done playing games. The unknown deeper than the darkness around you, with secrets that could carve shards of fear deep into your soul. What other revelations did the night have in store? In the silence that followed, the moon dimmed slightly, as if holding back its light in anticipation of the horrors yet to unfold. And with that thought, you prepared for whatever came next, knowing that survival was just the beginning. Would you uncover the dark history buried beneath the plains by daybreak, or become another whisper in the wind? The old man's laughter shattered the stillness, echoing like a warning bell through the night. You felt your heart lurch, caught between the urge to confront him and the instinct to run. The very shadows around you seemed to pulse, as if they were alive and breathing, hungry for your fear. "You don't know what's at stake," he said, his voice a low whisper, pulling you closer. "They won't just seek their treasures, they'll take yours as well." His eerie demeanor, coupled with the sapphire glint of his eyes, left you feeling small in the vastness of the night. Every instinct screamed for you to turn and flee, but a deeper curiosity held you captive. "What do you mean?" you managed to stammer, barely able to quell the tremor in your voice. "They were betrayed," he continued, stepping yet closer. The stench of decay hung heavy in the air, and you swallowed hard, trying to fight off the nausea rising in your throat. "Long ago, men took what didn't belong to them, a pact broken, blood spilled. The spirits of the land will stop at nothing to regain their due." As he spoke, the wind swirled around you, carrying the scent of damp earth and something sharper, something metallic. The hairs on your arms stood up, prickling against the encroaching chill. "They come for a reckoning," he added, voice laced with both urgency and warning, "and nightfall is their hunting hour." His words washed over you, creating a heavy fog of dread that clouded your thoughts. Betrayal. Blood. Reckoning. You glanced around, searching the darkness for any sign of movement. Was it the trees swaying, or was something lurking in the shadows, keenly aware of your presence? "Listen closely," he said, lowering his voice to a fierce whisper. "You must find the relic, the map that leads to the heart of their sorrow. Only then can you bargain for your life and perhaps save the others." Panic darted through you. Others? Were there more people like you, wandering these haunted plains? Could you really navigate these dangers alone? You shook your head, there was no time for hesitation. Before you could respond, the man suddenly recoiled, glancing over your shoulder, eyes wide. "They're coming. You must decide, run or fight." Adrenaline surged, a fierce stream buzzing through your veins. Your heart hammered as you turned slowly, trying to ignore the instinct to bolt in the opposite direction. One glimmer of silver caught your eye, an object shining faintly beneath the sprawling branches of an ancient oak. "Over there," you yelled, pointing, your voice cracking with urgency. The old man's expression darkened, dread etched into the lines of his weathered face. "You don't understand. Do not move." But your feet had already begun to carry you toward that glimmering hope. A relic? A light in the shadow? As you reached the oak, the laughter floated back on the wind, taunting, mocking, but this time it was different. It felt closer, more immediate, as if the spirits themselves were awakening. Your fingers grazed the object, a small, ornate key, cold and heavy, pulsating with some unknown energy. Just then, you caught movement in the corner of your eye. Shadows twisted around you like phantoms, surging forward, hungry for vengeance. With a spine-chilling scream, the old man was caught in their grasp, his voice fading into the cacophony of howling voices. "Run! Do not let them take you!" The shrieks echoed louder, and primal fear clawed at your insides. You had only moments to make your choice. Would you ascend from the depths of the unknown? Or would you risk everything for a chance at survival? As you grasped the key tightly, the shadows surged closer, and the night pressed down like a looming weight. What had you awakened? And could you truly escape its grasp until dawn? Shadows swelled around you, pinning you against the oak as you momentarily lost your breath. The night was thick with its dark secrets, and now they were coming for you. Would you uncover the truth, or become another lost soul swallowed by the darkness? You felt the weight of the key in your palm, an anchor in the swirling chaos. It pulsed, thrumming with potential, but the shadows were closer now, their whispers chilling the blood in your veins. A cold breeze brushed past you, carrying the scent of damp earth and despair. Your chest tightened, you were trapped, and despair clawed at your throat, with the screams of the old man still echoing in your ears, insistently mingling with the incantations of the restless apparitions. Fear gripped you like a vice. The shadows coiled around the oak, stretching, grinning, they seemed to filter through the bark, hungry for flesh and soul alike. "Run!" a voice hissed from within the shadows. Was it the old man? Or was it something else entirely? Your instincts screamed to flee, but your fingers curled around the key, a lifeline threading you back to the mission at hand. The one solitary thought pulsed in your mind: you can't let them take you. You had to find that relic, the map, the key to what? Escape. Driven by desperation, you pushed away from the oak, ready to bolt. Just then, an otherworldly glow erupted from the key. Bright light erupted around your hand, illuminating the darkness, casting the shadows back momentarily. The cries morphed into whimpers as the brightness engulfed you. "Use it," the old man's plea echoed, louder now as if from within your own head. The spirits, instinctively, you knew what to do. You held the key up high, the light swirling like a beacon in the night, cutting through the palpable fear thick in the air. Before you could think, you took a step forward, the glow intensifying. The darkness around you reared back as you pressed onward, the shadows seething. They writhed and twisted, trying to capture the light, but it was as if your resolve fortified the key's magic. Fingertips brushing against the rough bark of the oak, a sense of purpose ignited within you. "I know you're here," you called out, searching for some sign of the lost souls. The shadows paused, their twisted forms flickering uncertainly at your challenge. Then, just as suddenly, a whisper arose, sinister and melodic, winding through the air like smoke. "You think you can save them? But you are one of us now." You fought the creeping dread. "No. I won't let this happen." Your voice rang out, more resolute than you felt. The glowing key flared brilliantly, and in that moment of defiance, the darkness recoiled, momentarily revealing a glint of silver embedded in the underbrush. A map, half buried in ancient leaves. Was this the answer? Did this hold the path to appease the spirits? Just as you made a move to retrieve it, the shrieks came roaring back, fiercer than before. The echoes of betrayed souls converged, the winds swirling their howls into a crescendo that rattled your bones. Would you have time to uncover the truth? The shadows surged once more, their retribution relentless and indiscriminate. Adrenaline surged anew as you turned your focus back to the map. It felt like a race against time now: retrieve the relic or perish along with the old man's warning. You had unlocked something within you, a strength you never knew you possessed. As your fingers grazed the parchment, the predatory darkness bore down like a wolf pack closing in on prey, snapping at your heels. A heartbeat away from grasping the map, you hesitated, knowing that whatever lay ahead would change everything. What awaited you in this murky reality? What truth would the map reveal, and could you outrun the darkness closing in? The moment stretched, an eternity packed into a heartbeat, and you could feel the unforgiving grasp of fate tangle around you. Would you be the one to unearth the shadows, or would you become their prey? In that fleeting moment, the air thickened with anticipation, and your heart raced. You clenched your jaw, summoning courage. Then, without a second thought, you lunged forward, fingers wrapping around the cold, crumpled map. As you pulled it from the foliage, the world around you shifted violently. The shadows screeched, a cacophony of anguish that clawed at your ears. They flared and morphing into indistinct forms that flickered like a dying flame. The entire atmosphere twisted, growing heavier as the promise of darkness sank its teeth into your resolve. The map was old. Ancient symbols danced across its surface, much like the shadows flitting at the edge of your vision. Shaky breaths escaped you as you squinted at the parchment. It promised answers, but the shadows had other plans. Find the heart of the woods. The words highlighted themselves on the map, glimmering for just a moment before fading, swallowed by darkness. The heart? Was that where the relic was? A growl erupted from the shadows, shaking you to your core. Their whispers morphed into an intertwined chant, echoing off the trees, "Leave now, leave this place." It was a warning, but one tinged with desperation. Their discontent fueled your own defiance. You knew you couldn't turn back. The old man's words rang in your head like a warped melody. The spirits, but you didn't feel like their hero, you felt like bait. Weapons weren't an option, all you had was the key, and now, this cursed map. You glanced around as the shadows pulsed and twisted like a tempest. You had to act, before they swallowed you whole. "Look!" You shouted at the forest, "You don't scare me." It was a reckless gamble, and yet as you stood there waging this internal war, something inside you flickered back. The key in your other hand pulsed in response to your defiance, a surge of warmth flowing through it. Instinctively, you raised the key again, drawing upon the fleeting light it cast. With renewed determination, you scanned the map, seeking any trace of the heart, the beacon that could guide you to salvation. As if the map could hear your thoughts, a narrow pathway traced itself in brilliance. This way the shadows hesitated, wavering at the edges of your vision, taut strings pulled against their malevolence. You turned, bolting down the path indicated, adrenaline spiking through your veins. The trees closed in, their gnarled fingers trying to ensnare you, but your heart beat louder than their calls. The light from the key shattered their whispers, illuminating the dark foliage, allowing you a moment of clarity amid the chaos. Each step echoed within you. Then, the ground beneath you trembled, a sudden quaking. The shrieks intensified. They were losing control over you, but they didn't intend to let you escape unscathed. "What lies ahead?" you uttered under your breath, barely audible over the din. As you navigated through the trees, a chilling realization gnawed at you. The heart of the woods was more than a place. It could be a dark truth, an echo of the past waiting to ensnare you, just as it had the souls trapped in this wretched limbo. A clearing suddenly opened before you, bathed in an ethereal light, juxtaposed against the oppressive shadows behind. In the center stood a crude, worn altar, pulsating with the same energy that was channeled through the key. "All that you seek lies within." The whisper encircled you again, taunting, enticing. With the map clutched tightly, the shadows churned behind you, giving one final push, converging like wildfire. You stood at the threshold of truth. The last battle wasn't just against darkness but against yourself. As you took a step toward the altar, an image brushed past your mind, the old man's face, his eyes pleading. "Do not forsake your family." The map shifted in your palm, the altar began to glow, and the world held its breath. Would you dare look into the heart? What secrets lay ready to unearth, waiting just for you? The air crackled with a pulse of energy as you stepped closer to the altar. The glow intensified, casting sharp shadows that danced wildly, as if desperate to break free from their own torment. Each heartbeat resonated through the clearing, quickening your pulse and igniting the trepidation that gripped your gut. You could feel the shadows squirming behind you, a looming threat that hungered for your fear. Do it. Unlock it. A voice inside you urged, a mix of despair and hope colliding within. You brought the key up, its warmth radiating against your palm. It felt alive, as if responding to the pull of the altar, tugging at you to make a choice. But with every inch you gained, doubt crept in, clawing at the edges of your mind. What if the truth was not what you expected? Moments passed in agonizing silence. The key began to vibrate wildly, almost as if anticipating the release of a mighty force. You hesitated, memories flooding your brain, families torn apart by dark secrets, lives ruined by hidden truths. Could you bear to confront whatever darkness lay ahead? The shadows howled in a fevered echo, you shouldn't have come. You're not ready. Their voices, once distant whispers, now rose to a deafening crescendo that rattled through your bones. You gripped the key tighter, straining against the turmoil churning behind you. Raising the key above your head, you shouted, "I will not be afraid." The sensation surged through the air, a wave of pure defiance that momentarily stilled the shadows. Their icy fingers retreated, and in that moment of strange calm, you felt the altar beckoning you closer, its glow warming your skin. You felt it then, an invisible line drawing you toward the sacred surface. Something inside the altar called to you, a familiar essence that throbbed in rhythm with your heartbeat. You stepped forward, your fingers trembling as you lowered the key toward a slot carved into the altar. At that instant, the shadows recoiled, pooling together, swirling in a violent tempest. No. Don't. You'll unleash it. They screamed, panic lacing their urgent cries. Your heart raced, a battle of wills as ancient and primal forces clashed around you. Ignoring their warnings, you pressed the key into place. A blinding light erupted, filling the clearing like a cold sunburst that temporarily dispersed the shadows. You braced yourself against the shockwave, your heart racing as the altar began to hum. What emerged sent chills rippling through your body. The glow brightened, and the whispered secrets swirled and crashed like waves lapping at the shore. Ghostly forms began to emerge from the altar, their faces twisted in agony and terror. You realized they were trapped spirits, bound to this site, waiting like you for the key to unlock a path to freedom. Release us. They pleaded, their voices merging into one haunting chorus that sent shivers racing down your spine. It was overwhelming. You could feel their despair, their pain, the weight of their unfulfilled wishes pressing down on your chest, but before you could respond, a shadow lunged from the darkness, seizing the key from the altar. Fool! You're meddling with forces beyond your understanding. The figure loomed, swirling with an intensity that made it an amalgamation of all the fear resident in the woods. With the map clutched tightly in your fist, your breath quickened. How could you fight it? The shadows roared in fury, howling louder than ever. In that moment, you realized the choice now lay before you, not merely to unlock a portal, but to confront the very heart of darkness that had ensnared the spirits and ultimately, yourself. What will you do now? The figure hissed, its presence eager for your failure. You steeled yourself. Courage surged within you. I'll save them. But the shadows began to close in around you once more, relentless. Would you be able to hold on to hope against the darkness? Or would you become yet another lost soul? The altar flickered with uncertainty. Time stretched thin. What would you risk to break this cycle? You had to act fast, before the shadows consumed all. As you prepared for the confrontation, something in your gut whispered of an unexpected ally. Would help come from the place you least expected? The shadows coiled tighter, suffocating the air around you. Their whispers clawed at your sanity, sending chilling shivers down your spine. You're trapped. You can't escape. They taunted. Desperation gnawed at the edges of your resolve as you faced the towering figure that had snatched the key. Who are you? You shouted, your voice breaking against the howling wind. And what do you want from me? The figure seemed to pulse with darkness, a visage of your own darkest fears. I am what lies beneath the surface, the truth hidden from those too weak to confront it, it replied, its voice dripping with malice. You took a step back, the force of its presence sending shockwaves through your body. Your heart pounded like thunder, each beat echoing louder than the last. I'm not afraid of you, you declared, though the words felt feeble against the tide of dread washing over you. Ah, but you should be, the figure hissed, taking a step closer, its eyes shimmering with a predatory glint. You think you can save those spirits? You're merely a child playing with a game far beyond your comprehension. The trapped souls around you surged forward, their luminescent forms flickering with a desperate urgency. Help us. You must face it. They cried, their voices intertwining in a haunting symphony of sorrow. A surge of determination lit a fire inside you. They needed you. You were their only hope, a fragile spark against the overwhelming darkness. I will not let you take them. You shouted, the defiance surging in your veins. The figure laughed, a sound that echoed like shattered glass, sharp and unforgiving. How noble, but futile. You'll need more than courage to win this battle. Just then, a bolt of light shot through the clearing, illuminating the chilling scene. You squinted, your heart racing as a figure emerged from the brightness. It was a woman, her silhouette radiating strength and grace. You're not alone, she called, her voice steady amidst the chaos. There was something familiar about her, like the flicker of recognition that danced at the back of your memory. A warm sensation washed over you, grounding you in this storm of fear. Who are you? You stammered, awe mingling with confusion. I am the guardian of this realm, the keeper of the secrets you unlock, she explained, her eyes locking onto yours. You hold the key to your own power, but you must learn to wield it. The figure recoiled, irritation flickering across its dark features. No. She has no power here. It screamed, its voice fraying. But the woman stepped forward, a blade of light in her hands. Together, we will confront him. You must believe in your strength, she urged, her tone fierce and passionate. Believe in them. The spirits surged around you, their cries turning from desperation to hope. You felt the weight of their pain, their unfulfilled wishes fighting for a chance at redemption. With the guardian by your side, the darkness started to shake, trembling under the combined force of your will. Together, we can shatter the cycle. She proclaimed. You nodded, energy pulsating through you as the altar ignited once more. But as you prepared to unleash that power, the ground trembled violently beneath your feet. The shadows began to morph, twisting into shapes that clawed at reality. You'll never escape. The figure howled, transforming into a storm of despair. Focus on the light. The guardian encouraged. But just as you turned to strike, your heart stopped. The shadows screamed with voices you recognized, familiar faces emerging from the darkness, the faces of friends long thought lost. Help us, please, they echoed, drawing you back to a time of innocence. The weight of betrayal crashed over you like a thunderstorm. In that moment, you teetered on the precipice. Would you choose power and freedom for the trapped souls you might save? Or would you risk everything to confront the ghosts of your past? The darkness beckoned, desperate to swallow you whole. Trust in yourself. The guardian urged, fear vibrating in her voice. Your next move felt monumental. The choice loomed, a question. Echoing in the void. Which path would you take? A decision waited to be made and time was running out. The ground shook violently, the chaos around you a blur of fear and confusion. All your instincts screamed for you to run, to wrap yourself in the familiar security of the past. Memories of laughter, shared dreams, and innocent moments crashed against the walls you had built to protect yourself. But the guardian stood firm, a beacon amidst the chaos. Don't let them pull you in. She shouted, her voice slicing through the cacophony. Panic surged as your friends' faces twisted into masks of distress, begging for help. Sweat trickled down your back, and your hands trembled as you clutched the light emitted by the guardian. "What do I do?" you gasped, your chest tightening with a suffocating sense of dread. "Focus," she urged, her eyes locking onto yours. "These are shadows of your regrets. Acknowledge them, but do not succumb." As her words sank in, you fought to find clarity. With every ounce of strength, you opened your heart to the memories. Each face was a chapter of your life, with joy shadowed by guilt. Regrets, betrayals, and fears clawed at you, amplifying the torment. But somewhere in that darkness, you felt a flicker of resilience. "No!" you shouted against the tide. "I refuse to let your misery control me." Each spirit recoiled at your declaration, their forms flickering weakly. The towering figure watched you with a look of contempt, its form shifting, becoming larger and more feral. "You think you're strong enough to save them?" it hissed, its voice low and dripping with mockery. "You are weak. You can't even save yourself." But as you breathed through the storm, the guardian moved beside you, her presence an anchor. "Strike with the truth," she shouted, raising her radiant blade. You grasped her resolve and channeled it into your own heart. "I am not weak," you declared firmly, your voice rising above the din. "I accept the choices that made me who I am today." The moment those words escaped your lips, a surge of energy flowed through you, igniting the altar in a kaleidoscope of light. With a deep breath, you raised your hands, summoning the energies circling around you. The spirits, witnessing your transformation, began to glow brighter, their cries shifting from despair to encouragement. "We believe in you," they chanted, filling the air with a harmony that began to weaken the shadows. The darkness recoiled, its form writhing in agony. "No! Stop this!" it shrieked, but its desperation only fueled your resolve. You didn't just want to save them, you needed to show them that strength comes from confronting one's fears. With each heartbeat, you pushed back against the darkness, the blade of light in the guardian's hands guiding yours. "Together, we are stronger," you shouted, and with a final surge of will, you unleashed the power within you. Blazing light erupted from you, shattering the oppressive fog. The shadows shrieked and strained, retreating as the truth began to cleanse the space. The faces of your friends flickered and solidified, no longer twisted in despair. They looked at you with gratitude, their own spirits brightening in realization. Victory tasted sweet, but a sense of weight lingered in the air. What if the darkness returned? What if you could never truly escape the ghosts of your past? Suddenly, the ground shifted again, cracking beneath your feet. The figure loomed larger and angrier, rallying the shadows as the light waned. "You may have won this battle," it bellowed, "but the war has only just begun." Fear gripped you as you turned to the guardian. "What do we do now?" "Prepare yourself," she murmured, her gaze fixed on the swirling shadows. "This was only the first test. Darkness will always return. We must face it again." Your heart pounded in your chest. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, yet you felt the pulse of hope in your veins. But in the depths of your mind, one thought persisted: was the battle truly won, or was the worst still yet to come? You leaned forward, ready for the fight. What awaited you could change everything. The air crackled with tension as the shadows stirred, a frenzied chaos that threatened to engulf everything around you. You could feel the guardian's reassuring energy beside you, but doubt gnawed at your insides. What if this was just the beginning? The dark figure, increasingly monstrous in size, coiled back, readying itself for a brutal counterattack. Its eyes glinted with malice, a hunt lost in a twisted labyrinth of fear and doubt. "You think this light can save you?" it taunted, each word dripping with venomous laughter. "You are bound by your failures." Shivers crawled up your spine, a cold grip tightening around your heart. You had fought hard for this moment, your friends' faces still etched in memory, their expressions shifting from despair to hope. Yet, why did every ounce of courage feel so fragile, at risk of shattering? "Don't you dare listen to them," the guardian whispered fiercely, her grip on her blade steadfast. You have the strength to push forward. You nodded, but the shadows were swirling closer, hungry for any sign of weakness. It felt like a storm building, dark clouds gathering above your head. Each pulse of energy you had summoned earlier was flickering, blindsided by the weight of the remaining darkness. You could hear your friends calling out, their voices mingling, tethering you to the fight. Focus on the love, not the fear, the guardian urged, her blade shimmering against the void. Love. You closed your eyes and grasped at the flickers of light in your heart, the warmth of shared laughter, the comfort of hugs, the support when life felt overwhelming. I will not let you take this from me. You roared. Almost instinctively, you mirrored the guardian's stance, raising your arms, channeling everything you could into that overwhelming force. The ground rumbled beneath you, the shadows shrieked as they recoiled, twisting away. You pushed forward, ready to wield your truth like a weapon, standing taller with each heartbeat. I am not defined by my fears. I am defined by what I fight for. A beam shot from your hands, brighter than before, cutting through the darkness like a knife. It was a light born from love, resilience, and grit, the very embodiment of who you were. The figure howled in frustration, its form flickering and reshaping. You think that's enough? I will not be banished so easily. The darkness coalesced into a tempest, swirling violently around you as if it were alive. No longer merely shadows, it was a swirling mass filled with grasping hands of regret and whispers of old fears. Together. The guardian cried, her voice a clarion call in the din. Don't let it waver. Adrenaline surged through you, exhilarating and terrifying at once. You summoned your friends' spirits, their light merging with yours until it was more brilliant than you could have imagined. The enormous figure lurked in the dark, its presence now a nauseating weight pressing down. You took a deep breath, focused entirely on that warm glow. This is who I am. This is who we are. With every ounce of strength, you thrust out your hands, directing that collective light forward, a radiant surge against the encroaching darkness. Together, we will overcome. As light erupted from you, the shadows began to fracture, their howls wrapping around you in a chilling crescendo. Then, as the brilliant wave of light reached its peak, a thunderous crack split the air. Did something just break? The ground trembled violently, and the shadows hesitated, grasping at the light but losing their hold. You couldn't shake the feeling that something more sinister was lurking behind this first wave of victory. What wasn't the darkness showing you? And just like that, the facade of the shadow buckled, but its roar drowned out your heart's spark of hope. You think this victory means anything? You have only seen a fraction of what I can unleash. With those words, everything shifted. Time slowed, and the breath caught in your throat. The heart of darkness still remained, biding its time, waiting. What awaited you was far darker than you could imagine. Were you prepared to face it? Would you find the truth behind the shadows and the courage to shine the light once again? The relentless night ebbed, giving way to the fragile fingers of dawn. A soft light began to stretch across the vast plains, melting away the shadows that had tormented you. Your heart raced as the last remnants of darkness retreated, whispering threats into the dissipating gloom. You've done it. The guardian exclaimed, her voice ringing with triumph. The altar stood steady, glistening with remnants of power. You felt its energy still pulsing within your palm, a reminder of the fight. Yet, the words of the dark figure echoed in the recesses of your mind. You have only seen a fraction of what I can unleash. Is it truly over? You asked, uncertainty creeping into your voice. The guardian smiled gently. You've taken the first steps, but every journey has its shadows. What matters is that you now know how to confront them. With the dawn brushing against the horizon, the trapped spirits around you began to shimmer. Their faces transformed, sorrow giving way to gratitude. Thank you. They chorused, glowing ever brighter. Thank you for freeing us. Their voices raised like a choir in the morning light, each spirit dissolving into the ether, leaving peace in their wake. Take this with you, the guardian said, holding out her blade, a shimmering fragment of light. It's a token, a reminder that though darkness may return, you possess the strength to fight back. You reached out, gripping its hilt, feelings of warmth coursing through you. Holding it close, you responded, I won't forget. The weight of your mission settled on your shoulders, now the choice to stand against fear, to embrace the light within. As the first beams of the sun painted the plains gold, you took a step back, ready to leave the altar behind. The air felt light, the burden less heavy. You had confronted the whispers of fear, embraced your power, save for the souls that glided forward into the morning. What happens now? A voice trapped somewhere in the wind called back, food for thought. You'll face the world restored, the guardian replied, a hint of pride lighting her expression. Remember, every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow stronger. Keep your heart open and never forget the power of love. You nodded. The prospect of a new day dawned with hope, and in that silent acknowledgement, you knew to trust the journey that lay ahead. As you stepped away, the air crackled with possibility, the remnants of darkness began to shift, coiling into the depths of memory. The shadows might give chase at times, but you felt resolute. Memories of laughter and joy filled the void, holding memories of that night at bay. You were the keeper of those moments now, as much as it was your responsibility to shield them from despair. With one last glance, you whispered a final farewell to the guardian, whose radiant presence faded like sunlight losing itself behind the clouds. You took a deep breath, ready to confront whatever the world held, letting the warmth of that light guide you through whatever darkness returned. You stepped beyond the clearing, savoring the sweetness of the air, resonating with this newfound purpose. The Wild West had tested you in ways you never imagined, leaving scars but also a strength that surged through you now. You were not just a survivor, you were a fighter, and as you moved forward, the transition felt seamless. The lingering echoes of spirits receded, a sacred tether connecting you to the light that would carry you home. The road stretched out before you, paved with choices, and you were ready to embrace them all. Now the dawn breathed life into the world around you, and you knew somewhere in the distance, new adventures awaited. Don't let this be the end of your story. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive tales that come your way. You need to smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and let everyone know how much you enjoyed this conclusion. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what you just experienced. Your thoughts matter, and I want to see them, and please don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to be part of this journey. Your engagement is everything. Together, let's keep these stories alive.